Thank you for thank you for coming back to another episode of Short Cute Cooking. This is Chef Joanne. Today I am making two kinds of lasagnas. I'm doing a veggie lasagna and then a 2-meat 4-5 cheese lasagna. So this is what I put in my vegetarian lasagna. I do broccoli, cauliflower, squash, and zucchini. Now, what I am doing differently from my last video about the far as lasagna goes, they got some oven ready lasagna I'm gonna use this time instead of the boiled ones. Now, the reason I'm cutting them a little small, a little flatter, is because it's easier to cook them if they're not as bumpy. It's easy to put the shells on top of each other. So I already got my zucchini cut. This is the broccoli and cauliflower. I'm making a mess as usual. I am cutting them real quick. They don't have to be thick or thin. Just getting them cut so they can go ahead and my kids can go ahead and eat and leave me alone. Now, it doesn't matter what size it is, depending on what size pan you're using. If you want to do some really big slices, like I'm doing, you don't have to. Now, I just boil these for about 10 minutes until they get soft, and then go from there. So, at the same time I'm going to be boiling this, I'm going to make my meat. I'm doing an Italian sausage and ground beef mixture for the other lasagna. But I had the zucchini and squash left over from a couple of days ago. I did some lamb chops wrapped in bacon. I was gonna do some more. I wound up buying one of those mop buckets from the dollar store and putting some bags in it and putting it on the floor near my table instead of having my trash bin on the table, because I got so much stuff that's on the table as it is and I don't want to keep crowding it. So let me get out the other 2 meats that I'm going to be using. And like I said, since we're making 2 different kinds, we're not making real big ones. So we're doing half ground beef and half lasagna in the meat one. So I was doing my homework at the same time, then got sidetracked, and I'm starting to get hungry. See? I'm doing roasted potatoes. Now, with my leftover meat, what I do, I just wind up putting them together in the freezer bag and putting them in the freezer together, so when the next time I make a lasagna, I already have the 2 meats I need in one container. And I just unthawed the 1 bag of meat. I'm pretty sure you guys know how to freeze food. Press the air out, close it all the way at the top, boom, you're done. So with my meat, I will be seasoning the meat. Even though the Italian sausage has the meat on it, has seasoning on it, I still like to make sure the ground beef gets seasoned as well. With my normal 4 main seasonings. Now I am still going to be using my regular spaghetti sauce in the jar, the one I love so much, which is the chunky garden and herb. Okay, now while that's warming up, we do need bell pepper and onion for those. Let's see. Sana, where's the bell pepper and onions from when you guys did the sandwiches? Why? Okay. Now I gotta stop wasting food. I'm dead ass serious. Because I could have used that in this lasagna instead of cutting some noodles. I had some bell pepper and onion pre-cut. Somebody left it out. So chop some real quick so it'll cook at the same time with the meat, saving time and dishes. Now with the bell pepper and onions, it doesn't matter the size. I like to do them as small as possible, but you don't want them invisible. Now, I don't know if I did this in my last video, but the thing that is, we're just doing a new lasagna. I showed you guys how to do the ratatouille, so I'm just showing you guys how to do the veggie lasagna with different pastas. Okay, the difference between the ratatouille and a regular vegetarian lasagna will be the pasta shells for one. And you don't necessarily, I don't put mushrooms. Even though I love mushrooms, I don't use mushrooms in my lasagna, my vegetarian lasagna. Just the broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini. Okay. I also got me a new toy. I'm curing some duck breast, and I got a inside smoker. So I'm making smoked duck breast. It's called cold smoking, and then I'm going to slice it thin and fry it up like bacon, which should be extremely interesting. I'll be videoing that. I'll be taking that one too. But it takes the cure about 5 days, 3 to 5 days to cure it. And it's only been in there for 2 or 3. Still not long enough, so we got a couple of days. The 2 is already ready. Okay, now just like I did in the first video with the regular lasagna with the meat and cheese, this one is a little different, but the same. I still put the sauce on the bottom. Now with us not having to boil this, I've never used this one before. I used the Barilla. I always use the Barilla because it comes in just perfect for this. But what I do is I still have a pot of boiling water that I'll stick the pasta in to make it a little flexible so that we don't have to keep cracking and breaking it. We don't have time for all that because with me doing my homework at the same time as me doing dinner, that's why the table's so junky. Y'all know y'all. So we still letting it here. And I'm trying to keep it as pescatarian as possible, because it's so many different groups of you guys. And my thing is, I know somewhat the difference between the vegetarians, vegans, pescatarians, and things like that. But plant-based, everybody equates that with, oh, so you're plant-based, that means you're vegan. No, see, plant-based and vegan that I found out are two different people. Seriously, two different people. So we're just layering it. I cook mine so they're soft, but not too soft that they lose their taste or color. But just soft enough that we can put a layer down. And I want to mix up the layers too, because you don't want to have one area with just squash and one area with just zucchini on it. Even though they outnumber the broccoli and cauliflower. And depending on how wide or how big you want it. So I'm using, these are the cheeses I got. Oh, this is the organic white mild cheddar. Alex, would you want to reuse this white cheddar? Okay, I'm finna use it. So we're gonna do, this is gonna be more of, see, this is the organic cheese also, but it's not the vegan cheese. I thought I grabbed vegan. That way it could have been vegan all the way. But I couldn't, I'm sorry you guys. So we're gonna just make do with what we have. You know how to substitute for what you're supposed to have for what you're supposed to have. You can't really go on off. Because I'm just doing this because I didn't want my squash to go to waste, and I haven't had a vegetarian lasagna in a really long time. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a good idea for a video. But everybody's treating being vegan like it's going to be like a new some like a diet, but it's not. And that's what people don't understand. It's a lifestyle. You can't say, well, I'm this today and I change my mind tomorrow and expect for it to work out that way. It's definitely not going to do that. But plant-based and vegans, the reason I said there are two different people, because plant-based is everything is plant-based. Everything. They don't eat anything that's a product of any type of animal. Now we're still going straight and then diagonal. So we're going up and down and then side to side with the shells. If you guys didn't watch the first one. That way when you cut it, it don't slide. It don't like slide off. It don't mess up on you. But I see a lot of people doing this, and I keep telling you, do your homework. Because this is somebody's lifestyle that you're mimicking. Because if you were actually serious, getting caught having a steak after the club one morning, it's not a good look. If you're going around telling people, oh no, I'm not even going to eat meat anymore. I feel anytime you have gotten used to eating something your whole life, it's hard. It's going to be hard to leave. So let's not lie to the people around you if you know you're capable of slipping up. Like I said, I'll trade in, like the butter. I'll trade in the butter. I traded in some cheeses. My thing is, it has to taste just like what I'm used to eating. I don't want to have a chemical taste in the back of my throat and it's for some fake chicken or fake meat. Now when I did the tacos with the Beyond Beef ground meat, it had a chemical taste to it. Now once I piled everything on my taco, the taste did dissipate some. But it was hidden beneath. I had to hide it beneath so much. I had black olives, I had green onions, sour cream. I just had a whole bunch of stuff on it in order to get that taste. Not to have that taste in my mouth of the meat, that chemical taste with the meat. I'm sorry. But I won't be leaving ground beef just yet. You know, it's not worth it for me yet. But I did switch over to cheese. The cheese is great. I've always used organic honey. I've always used that. Now the only cheese I don't use in my vegetarian lasagna that I do use in my regular lasagna is ricotta cheese. Because besides it has an egg in it with the ricotta cheese. So that's defeating the purpose of even using it. I know a lot of people who use cream cheese. Do you, boo-boo? Just because somebody doesn't use it or follow it, like I said, when you cook your own food, it's to your taste and what you like. I'll be damned if I start cooking and eating food a certain way because such and such don't eat it this way, so I'm not going to eat it. I don't live like that. That's the reason I don't eat at the restaurant. Because if I want my steak done a certain way, and I gotta keep sending it back to the kitchen, you're not gonna tell me they're not gonna get upset about me complaining about this steak, and then all of a sudden winds up on the floor or comes out with a glob of spit next to the butter, like butter foams up in globules. I'm picky about my food. Don't let nobody play with it. That's why I'm at the house. That's why I'm going to school for it, because I ain't got time. Now you leave this in the oven for just as long as you're supposed to with a regular lasagna. Make sure, because the only thing you're basically cooking is the pasta shell. Everything else is done. We're just melding it together. And this is the last layer. I don't know. I just love chunky combination garden. Just chunky garden combination. I've been using this for years. I love it. Because you do get like nice big chunks of vegetable with it. So this is our last layer. And there you go. Vegetarian vegetable lasagna. I ain't even going to call it vegetarian because I use regular cheese instead of the... But it's organic cheese, so that makes a difference with you guys. So this is the vegetable lasagna. I only use squash, zucchini, broccoli, and cauliflower. Now normally I salt the water. But when everybody's not buying the same salt I use, you're not going to have the same taste. I don't buy the salt with the iodine in it. I haven't used table salt in forever. Your body produces iodine. I don't want to put extra iodine in my body. I stopped using it years ago. But the coarse salt, sea salt, pink Himalayan salt, beautiful salts. I use those. But anyway, I forgot to salt the water for these vegetables because I'm doing my homework for school at the same time as I'm doing this. And I'm tired with everything I gotta do. Now we're gonna just try to mix up the cheeses on here because I'm gonna put mozzarella, get a little bit mozz on top. Now what you can do, if you choose to, add a little oregano and stuff to the top of it. Let it bake on top. But with me doing the one in the jar, it's just certain things I just rather not do to it when I'm in a rush. It's called short, cute cooking because we want it to be short. We don't want to have to be in here all day. Now this is the weekend for me. I don't have to work this weekend. So go ahead and make the kids some nice dinner. And with me, add a little white cheddar. With me having to start working all 8 hours a day, with me doing these 2 lasagnas, they're going to have some leftovers for lunch tomorrow. And I will be utilizing these pieces that I broke up. I will be utilizing those. Remember, the less we can waste, the better it'll be. Well, there you go, vegetable lasagna. Now all you have to do to make this vegan or more organic, get your gluten-free, get your the right pasta, get your vegan cheese, and boom, you're in there. See, I'm making, my homework is done, it looks like. Nice and golden brown. Pumpkin seeds. I can add that there. I also got to fry me some salmon on top of it. I'm going to sleep good tonight. I promise you, baby. Well, let me do the other lasagna. You guys saw how I did my regular meat lasagna. Alrighty. So I just did 2. These are like mini lasagnas in this house. Because I usually do a really large casserole dish of lasagna for my girls. But these just, since it's since I'm doing 2 of them, I'm making the smallest ones I got, the smallest casserole dishes I have. I just did 2 of them with 1 jar of spaghetti sauce, just so you guys know. And we're almost done putting them in at the same time. They're going to take the same amount of time to cook simply because of the shells that's in it. Add my ricotta cheese. I just took the shredded white cheddar and just mixed it in. I ain't trying to be extra right now. I'm actually trying to sit down. So I done did 2 homework assignments, 2 lasagnas, plus I got a fried fish, make some garlic bread. I got a lot going on. Now you can use as much or as little ricotta cheese as you want. You can put it on after it's done, but I'm like, if you put it on after, don't put the egg in it. The egg does make it creamy, but you can't eat a raw egg. And I'm telling you that now, so don't come back and say, Chef Joanne put egg in hers. And she said, no, I did not. We already had the discussion about egg and chicken products and things of that nature. We had this conversation. Now this is going to look like a shepherd's pie. This looks like a whole thing. I had to pile it up like this because this is the normal amount I would use for a large lasagna. And with me not doing a large lasagna, I forgot to do the math and only do half. It's still going to taste good. I don't care. It's still going to taste. It's still going to get 8. I'm just going to add these in. Since they were out of the box, I don't like to put it, once it's out of the box, it's out of the box. Ain't no sense in me trying to put it back in there. Germs and things like that. It's been touched. There we go. And we're done. Let me clean up the edges though. I hate it when it drips down and then like, oh, now I gotta clean out the oven. I don't feel like doing the oven. I really don't. So let me just try to prevent it from getting dirty as much as possible. Okay. I should have put some of that ricotta on top of that one, see if it was going to taste the same. Alrighty. Whew. The only thing left to do is let them bake and clean up my mess.